Hey guys, my name's Billy and I'm silly, and this is Billy is the Silly. Doing part 2 of childhood trauma video that I made earlier. Here's a link to the other one. If you haven't seen it yet, you should go watch that one first. It's got 10 through 6. This is 5 to 1, the stuff that like really scared me as a kid. So, I guess we'll start. Number 5, All Dogs Go to Heaven. Another Don Bluth movie. If you remember, in my other one, Anastasia was another Don Bluth movie that scared me. But I think this one scares me more now as an adult than it did as a kid. Because now I actually like realize what I'm watching. I thought this was a good idea to show children. This is doggy hill. I don't remember the first time I watched this movie. You think I would, what with the doggy hill. But I always remember this movie fondly, but now I'm just like, oh my god, who showed this to a kid? This is terrifying. It didn't really bother me as a kid. I can't really remember watching it for the first time. And I think it's because it was just that one scene. Like everything else was weird. I'm not going to spend too much time on number 5 because, you know, that was the only thing that scared me, and it actually scares me more now as an adult because I realize what it is. So yeah. Number 4 is The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack. Now, I know a lot of people don't really like this show because of the gross humor and how ugly it looks, but that always charmed me whenever I watched it, and even some of the jokes still hit to this day. Yeah, there's gross out humor, but I think I've seen worse. But then again, I am the person that actually likes the scary cat thing.
Oh, hey there, cutie. Aren't you beautiful?
Yeah, that. I don't know why. It makes me laugh every time. I don't know, I guess it's just because he's so mad that he's become this Photoshop image of this cat. It makes me laugh. I guess it's just because I like cats a lot, or because I don't know, it just makes me laugh. But I'm not talking about that episode. I'm talking about one particular episode that scared me as a kid. And I actually remembered it quite vividly. It scared me a lot. Alright, so the episode starts off as normal. Knuckles is doing his usual tomfoolery, but he's stolen a mermaid's heart this time, and inside that mermaid's heart there's tears. Mermaids are chasing him, and then once he gets to Bubby, I think he eats one of the tears, and that's when the Queen of Mermaids shows up and says her little riddle.
The Queen of Ocean's ancestors die, no longer man, but made of sky.
Yeah, ominous. But Knuckles, being Knuckles, doesn't take heed to her warning, and then Flapjack notices that she starts to look kind of saggy.
Kim! The mermaid, look! Mermaids are what, Flapjack? Weird.
And he concludes that it's because they're eating all of the tears from her heart.
I wish for a very shiny, spoon. So shiny. Huh? I wish I was myself as a woman. Just a minute. She's gonna die if we wish away all the wishes.
So of course he's upset and wants to help, and during the meantime, this mermaid is getting just more and more gnarly looking. It goes from saggy skin to her hair falls off. It's just blech. And then the next thing happens. Knuckles is a selfish jerk and he eats the last tear because he doesn't care about the mermaid. He just wants to get to Candy Island.
I wish for a new hat and a corn dog.
And then this happens. I think this would have affected me even more if not for the happy ending where she turns to a sky maid and it says yes, really creepily.
So never stop wishing, Flapjack, and all your dreams will come true. Even the scary ones?
Yes.
That made me laugh though. I don't know. I guess I just have a weird sense of humor. Overall, I still really like this cartoon. I don't know if it's just because I have nostalgia glasses on or what, but the jokes still land with me most of the time. Some of the time they fall flat. But I get where people are going when they say this show is ugly, because it does have a pretty ugly color palette, and some of the animation can get extreme. But I think that was just some of the charm for me when I watched it. Not a whole lot of cartoons delved into the darker color palettes, and they sort of stuck to childish-like animation. They didn't go into the gnarly realism. I remember it fondly, and I still think I would like to watch it even today. Ah yes, where would a good childhood trauma list be without the staple of every childhood nightmare, Goosebumps books. I absolutely adored Goosebumps books, and I still do. They still have this kind of nostalgic feeling about them. I really like them. I admit when I'm bored I still read a book or two if I want a little spook. They're not very scary to me anymore, and to me as a kid they were more intriguing than scary because I always wanted to know what would happen next. But I remember when I was a kid I first came across a Goosebumps book because of the title. In fact, it was this Goosebumps book, How to Kill a Monster. That title alone drew me in, and I wanted to read it, so I did. And it was honestly a really good book. It was the first library book that I had finished within a weekend, and I was really eager to go back and get more. I read just about every Goosebumps book there was, but one book in particular scared me so bad that I actually threw it away. And that is the very first Goosebumps book, Welcome to Dead House. There's a scene in this book that scared me and gave me nightmares so bad I actually had to go and sleep with my mom for a couple of nights to try and get over it. The whole book itself isn't scary, it's spooky, but the beginning of one chapter in particular. Anyway, as I was saying about this book, the way that you kill the monsters, or really the corpses, we're off to a good start, is by shining a light on them. Can I help you? Can you help you? Go back there and be cute or something. Let me just read you the excerpt that gave me nightmares. It's towards the very end of the book, and they figured out how to defeat the monsters. So, and then suddenly light broke through the darkness. The light shone on Ray's face, the bright white halogen light. "What's going on?" Josh asked in a high-pitched, nervous voice. Amanda, what's happening? Ray cried out and dropped back to the ground. Turn that off! Turn it off! He screeched, his voice a shrill whisper, like wind through a broken window pane. But Josh held the bright beam of light on Ray. What's going on? What are you doing? I could breathe again. As I stared into the light, I struggled to stop my heart from pounding so hard. Ray moved his arms to shield himself from the light, but I could see what was happening to him. The light had already done its damage. Ray's skin seemed to be melting. His whole face sagged, then fell, dropping off his skull. I stared into the circle of white light, unable to look away as Ray's skin folded and drooped and melted away. As the bone underneath was revealed, his eyeballs rolled out of their sockets and fell silently to the ground. R.L. Stine, what the heck? Not only was that probably the most scary thing he's ever written, it was the first thing he ever wrote. For the kids, guys! I think what made this so scary for me was that I could imagine it. They could never put this on screen the way that I could imagine it and how scary this could be. And that's why it kind of stuck with me and scared me so bad. It wasn't the last Goosebumps book I read. In fact, I just threw it away and kept reading. But I wanted to revisit it for years because it definitely left its impact. Number 2 is The Haunted Mansion. Overall, this movie's not very scary. It's towards the end that really starts to scare me. Overall, there's a few scary moments. There's a jump scare kind of thing with Eddie Murphy in a mirror. But the thing that scared me the most was at the very end. He has to get this key out of a crypt. So he goes down into the crypt to find the key, and he opens a tomb, and there is a dead person there. It's a corpse. He has to get a key from a corpse. Now, just seeing a corpse was already unnerving because at that point in my life I had never really seen a dead body. Not even in a movie. And then the corpses start coming out. This still kind of freaks me out, honestly. Good lord. I just don't like undead things that want to munch on me. Not a fan. This scared me really, really bad as a kid. And I remember the moment I saw the hands prying open the coffin, I just ripped the sheets up and covered my head because I was so scared. And I watched it with the sheets up to here. I was terrified of these things. But I finished the end of the movie and I saw that it ended well, so that was good, but it still scared me. Granted, the fact that it was tied to a Disney movie kind of made me want to watch it a couple times every time we went to Disney. So I kind of grew immune to it after multiple viewings of the movie. But still, walking corpses, why doesn't anyone talk about this? There's walking corpses in this movie, help me, oh god. Anyway, before I say my number 1 movie that gave me an existential crisis, by the way, I wanted to do some honorable mentions. 1408. I wasn't really a kid by the time this movie came out, or I don't think I was. I don't know when it came out, I just know I rented it a couple years later. It was the first real, scary movie I ever saw that wasn't made for children. It was the first pt.2 movie I ever saw, definitely. And it scared me pretty good. But still, I guess I'm just a horror fan or something. Because it didn't stop me from watching horror movies. Some of them contain very little horror and very much porn. Please stop doing this. I came to watch a horror movie, not a porno. Thank you. Osmosis Jones. Mostly for the villain. Mostly for how the villain dies at the end. He just plops into an alcohol and then dissolves. Yeah, dissolving is a thing on this list, I see. That and his little glowy finger thing. He scratches people and then they dissolve into pus and goo. That's gross. The Secret of Nim. This movie didn't really scare me a whole lot as much as it made me unnerved. It definitely wasn't a Disney movie, and I found that out a little too late after I already turned it on and watched most of it. I thought it was going to be full of singing happy mice, but instead it was full of scary glowy eye owls. Monster House. There was a couple things that scared me in this movie, especially at the very end when the house chases them. Just imagine a house chasing you. Okay, stop laughing and imagine a house chasing you. That's pretty scary because they're huge. That's scary. Just trust me, it's scary. Stop laughing. The corpse in the basement and the fact that the house could chase you and crush you to death was two things that scared me pretty good about this movie. But after watching it a couple times, yeah, it's just, who thought of this? Alright, I think I'm finally able to tell you the movie that scared me the very most. This movie planted terrifying images and ideas into my head that scared me as a child and made me have an existential crisis for a couple years, actually. My number one movie is Where the Wild Things Are. Okay, before you start, I realize that the movie now can be seen as artistic because it really delves into child psychology, but as a child myself, I wasn't really thinking of, oh, I see how the monsters can symbolize things that are happening in his life that he doesn't like. But I wasn't thinking about that when I went to see this movie in theaters. I was expecting the childhood story that I always read as a kid and not this thing. Mention of the sun dying was mentioned a couple times in this movie. First off, the thing that kind of set me off was the mention of the apocalypse. Just the idea of the world ending is not a very fun idea. And when you plant that idea in a small, impressionable child's head, it can scar them, really. For years after this movie, just the mere thought or mention of the apocalypse scared me so bad that I would leave the room if it was even mentioned and just try to calm down. It made me so nervous. I couldn't sleep very well at night. It was terrifying. I never liked the idea of the apocalypse and I didn't want to face it. And this movie kind of made me extremely nervous for a couple of years, especially because it came out around the whole 2012, oh Lord, the end of the world thing. Doesn't bother me anymore because I think after 2012 ended, I was like, oh hey, maybe I don't need to worry about the apocalypse for a while. Maybe I should work on these failing grades because of my nervous breakdown. But the whole apocalypse thing, while causing me severe nervous anxiety for a long time, wasn't the only thing that scared me in this movie. But at the beginning part, where he actually meets the wild things, he is crowned their king. Watching it now, it's kind of charming, the way that he talks to them. I could imagine myself as a kid making up these crazy gadgets and devices that would make me sound powerful.
This thing's dangerous.
You're scaring me.
You know what I say? You got a problem? Eat it.
Arrogance of man is incurable.
Be still!
Why?
Well, because you can't eat me. You didn't know that, so I forgive you, but never try it again.
Why not?
I've powers from another land.
But I wasn't thinking about that as a child. I was thinking, what are these things going to do to him? Is he okay? And then they pull the crown out from this little fire pit looking place under a pile of bones. The bones of their past kings.
Are those other kings?
Oh, they were there before we got here. I never saw them. I never even noticed them.
Yeah, at this point I was already apprehensive about this movie. It's planting terrifying ideas into my head, and also child bones. They ate their last king. Speaking of eat, there's actually this one scene where he has to climb into one of the monster's mouths, well, belly technically, to get away from another one who was upset at him.
Get inside. Get in. Crawl inside my mouth. I'll hide you.
Hi, Richard. I can't breathe that well in here. Can you get me out?
And I think that was right after he ripped another one's arm off.
No, that's not true.
Look, I just went along with it because I knew you wanted it so much.
Don't say that!
No! Stop it!
Carol!
Stop it! What are you doing?
Carol!
What?
That was my favorite arm.
Yeah, I know it's followed up by a clever little haha, that's my favorite arm, aw you. But I wasn't thinking, haha, oh that's silly. I was thinking, oh my god, you just ripped his arm off. Oh my god, there's sand. Oh my god, this thing can kill someone. It's strong enough, it's got sharp teeth. Jesus, run kid, run. Honestly, when this movie ended, I was really happy to have him back in the real world. As an adult now, I can see the movie is charming because it really delves into a child's psychology, but I can't say that I enjoyed it as a child. It made me nervous, it gave me anxiety for a couple of years afterward, and as soon as the movie ended, I was just left with this, that wasn't very pleasant at all, vibe. It was probably my worst experience in a movie theater to date, but I'm pretty sure if I went and saw it again, as old as I am now, it might have freaked me out a little bit, but overall I think it would be pretty charming. It's a nice little movie. It might be underrated, but that may be because of the demographic. I think if children went into this movie to see a happy-go-lucky story about a child who makes friends with monsters, they might be a little disturbed. Because I went in thinking that, and instead it was this overall dark tone, and I was not a fan of it. So yeah, that's my list of childhood trauma things that scared me as a child. What scared you as a child? Leave your comments below, and I'll see you in my next video. Make sure to like, fave, and sub if you want. I make new videos whenever. I have 13 days to put out. 6 or 7. I think it's 7 videos, so I'm going to try to get those out. I have a vacation coming up, and don't worry, I'll vlog it. So sub to make sure you don't miss that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye! Oh, God. Cats, don't scare me. You freaking nerds, you're scaring me. What I remember. What do you want, cat? Stop it! Knock it off. Nerds are jumping at the door. Cat! I want to punch you right in your mouth. I'm threatening a cat. I gotta go see that because it's spoken. And also, I can't record very good when it's like that.